So today we're going to talk about how we are writing our show. Every week on Monday or the first day of the week, I will print out a calendar. I'm going to have like 4 copies. So one thing is for the main portion of the announcements, and it's everything that happened in the past when the show comes out. So our show this year is going to come out on Fridays. So it's everything from this Thursday coming up back to the last show, or in this case, the first day of school. So when you're writing, even though some of these things haven't happened yet, like things that are happening on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're still gonna write about them as if they're in the past. And then on anything that happens on Friday, you write about it as if it's happening today. So you use the word today as you describe, hey, tonight there's an event, today during advisory, this is happening, anything like that. And then the other sheet that you'll get is the future stuff. So the present and the future go on one sheet. And so then we start talking about things that are happening coming up. So these are going to be more things that you are promoting, most likely, saying like, hey, go to this thing. On Tuesday in the Black Box Theater, there's going to be a club meeting, whatever that is. So that's kind of how we look at the past and present and future in terms of writing. And what happens with these sheets is we'll give the main one goes to our news director, and the news director is going to highlight everything that they think is important, and then they pass that off to the writer for that week. And the writer's job is just to turn all of those things into sentences first, so you can kind of just make it, if, for example, I don't know, state cheer practice is not something that would probably go on here, but if we wanted to put that one on as an example, you would just turn that into something like, hey, today there's going to be a state cheer practice happening from 7 a.m. To 8 a.m., and that's going to happen in the cheer room. Go check it out. That wouldn't be a go check it out kind of thing, but you make some sort of little sentence about the bullet point that's been highlighted for you. Every week we also start off with a quick introduction. So it's going to start with our anchors introducing themselves. They each say their name, and then we say, and this is the North Report, and then we roll the intro sequence, and then we come back to them. We can also change that up if you guys want to do something different this year, but that's the standard flow of it. And then at the end, our closing is usually pretty similar from week to week. We recommend people follow us on Instagram and TikTok, subscribe to us here on YouTube, and say like, hey, have a great week, something along those lines. The other writer that we have each week is for the sports segment of the announcements. And with the sports, we only cover varsity games, so we will talk about away games. Sometimes I think that's another like kind of nuance, so how you guys want to decide if we want to cover all the away games, if we want to cover certain away games. Sometimes it might be like tennis has 3 away things this week, and hopefully they get some fans coming out to all their away games, but I know that not a lot of people are driving to Bartlesville to go watch tennis. I pick on tennis because I'm friends with their coach. I like him. With covering those varsity events, anything that's in the past, we want to try and find scores for. So we'll check Instagram. Well, we're going to have to figure out a new way now that we can't be on our phones, but typically we check Instagram for what the results are from the Edmond North Athletics page, and we'll put the score. One thing that's gotten really repetitive that I want to try and stay away from is saying great job and good luck on every single bullet point. So, sometimes it's easy, it's natural, like you say, here was the score, great job. Here's the score of this game, great job. We want to vary that a little bit, or we can be a little bit more dry and just say, here are all the scores kind of in a row, and after that, say, great job to all our athletes this week, or last week, and now coming up, here's what we've got. And a lot of those, we're gonna wanna say, hey, there's a football game Friday night, come out. If there's a dress-up theme for the student section, we'll wanna share that as well. And then, just talk about the time of the event, all that kind of stuff. One thing I thought about Then I skipped over with the main portion. Right now, we don't have any features or news stories to start putting in the announcements, but as y'all start producing packages and whatnot, we're gonna have introductions for those. And so the anchors will always, maybe go through a few announcements that are, just from the calendar, and then they'll say like, all right, and now let's go to a special story about the Dungeons and Dragons Club from this year, and then we go to that, and then come back. The anchors might say like, oh, great job, that was, we'll have to check that out soon, something like that. And with our anchors, both for main and sports, we'll always have 2 people on camera. So we go back and forth between basically every bullet point, unless there's things that like make sense to group up together. But for the most part, each person will talk about one event, and then we'll go to the next person. So when you're writing, if we don't know who's gonna be in there yet, you can just bullet it out as like person 1, person 2, person 1, person 2, just going down that way. And then once we do know who's actually gonna be on camera, you'll replace their names in there with that. So I know this sounds like a lot, just like for your very first attempt at it, but I will definitely be working with you and going over it for the first several weeks. But we'll get into a good flow of how we do this, and it'll be great. So yeah, that's a little bit about how we are going to be writing the show this year. All right, cut.